What's up, film homies? It's Michael. So today's video is going to be about my film book collection. I have a decent number of books about movies, either on the craft of screenwriting or directing. I think one or two on editing, one or two on cinematography, and this is something that is interesting to me in the sense of, not just learning by doing, learning by watching videos, but also reading. I'm also interested in just learning other aspects of the filmmaking process, even though I'm not going to be an editor, I'm not going to be a cinematographer. I do want to learn what the basics are as well as the theory behind them. So, because I think that would help me become a better screenwriter and a better director. So that's what I'm going to go over with today. I'm not going to tell you everything about all the books because there's quite a couple of them, but they are some of them. I'll kind of give a brief, perhaps synopsis, or maybe talk about one or two or three that that I'm looking through or are interesting to me. So the first one is going to be William Goldman's 4 screenplays. And it looks like it also has some essays. I have not gone through this one, actually. There's another William Goldman book that I think one of the ones about his adventures in Hollywood that I read. But this one's a good one because it has screenplays, which, if you're a screenwriter, you have to read screenplays. And I know I'm not the best at this. Especially because once I see a movie, I kind of find it harder a little bit to sit through. It's something that I have to force myself, which, it does beg the question, if you have to force yourself, should you really do it? But I think it is important. So I am going to read all of these. So it comes with Marathon Man, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, The Princess Bride, which one of the best fantasy movies of all time. If you have not seen it, please do so. I still need to get the Criterion Collections version, but someday. And with Misery, which I did not know that he wrote. So that's pretty cool. It's about 480, looks like 489 pages. So that's the first one. Next one is one that I picked up a while back, and it's called The Power of the Dark Side, which is a sort of not writing craft book per se, but more about like writing theory book. And it's about villains and dark characters who do that. And so it's, if you're interested in wanting to perhaps write a better villain, this could be a good book to read. I have not read this yet. I have not read most of these, so yeah, I need to get on that. But next one is also another collection of screenplays, and that's 4 films by Woody Allen, which comes with Annie Hall, Interiors, Manhattan, and Stardust Memories. And the only one I have seen of these so far is just Annie Hall, and it's just been too long. I need to rewatch it. But you know what? I think I'll probably read the screenplay first and then watch the movie. Next one is another 2 screenplays. It's My Beautiful Laundrette and what's the other one? The Rainbow Sign. And My Beautiful Laundrette, if you don't know, it's probably one of the most iconic LGBT movies, starring, for my money, the greatest actor of all time, Daniel Day-Lewis, who plays a gay man in this, who falls in love with a Pakistani. Next book is another TV writing book, and that's the TV Writer's Workbook. I think mostly focusing more on a craft of television show writing, sitcom writing, more specifically. And I got a long time ago. I didn't get into it because I started to kind of realize that I'm not really interested in sitcoms, to be honest. If I write any TV show, it's going to be something like a drama, things like that. Not necessarily like 30-minute sitcoms, but you never know. It still probably has good things to teach. So I'll read it and let you guys know. Next one is another 2 screenplays, Memento and Following by Christopher Nolan. And if you haven't seen Memento, it's probably one of the best, kind of movies that alternate timelines, not non-linear, that's the word. And so it's really good. I think, to me, what I also was interested in is The Following, which is Christopher Nolan's first movie, and it was a movie that he directed and wrote that was filmed over like weekends throughout like a year or something like that. So it would be really good to study for what can be done with a really short budget, really small budget, and minimal actors and stuff like that. Another editing book by one of the greatest editors of all time, Walter Murch, In the Blink of an Eye. I have not read it. It's on my list. Other books that I get is just books on filmmakers. I want to study them or just read about them. You can glean information from. So this is a Steven Seagal book, short kind of biography. I don't know if it's authorized or not, but not that big. Another one is a director I have not gone into his work at all, but this is a book on Werner Fassbinder, and we'll see what I think about it. Notes on directing. This one I've not yet read, but from what I know of it, it's more focused on directors in plays, but apparently still has good knowledge just for even film directors, so we'll see that. Sergei Eisenstein, what is it? The Film Sense. I haven't read it. We'll see what I think later when I do. Another director, Michael Powell. This is his biography, which he split up into 3 sections. The first being on silent, sound, color. So I'll read that one. Let y'all know what I think. Andrei Tarkovsky's Sculpting in Time. I've only seen 3 of his movies, but all 3 are masterpieces. I really need to see the rest, especially The Mirror. But he interests me. He really does, and his directing is every bit as poetic as people describe it. Film directing, shot by shot. I have not yet read this one, but it does, describe certain things. So this looks really good. Again, I'll tell you guys all as I read them. We'll do individual reviews for each book, so that way to let you know whether or not I thought that it was worth reading or not. This next one is another 4 screenplays. This is by Ingmar Bergman, which has some Smiles of Summer Night, The Seventh Seal, Wild Strawberries, which I've seen, and The Magician. So that's interesting. Also another good director. Another screenplay, The Piano. Have not seen this movie yet, but it's on my list. I think I'll read this first and then watch the movie. Another screenplay, Smoke Signals, which is, I think, an independent movie about Native Americans, so, hopefully it's a good one. This is Writing TV Drama Series, and this is the one that, once it comes time, I'm mostly interested in film right now, but when it comes time for TV drama stuff that I want to get into, this is one that I'll probably pick up first. Alright, so this is Characters in Viewpoint by Orson Scott Card. He's a science fiction writer. It's more geared to writing fiction novels. He's a science fiction novelist. And I got it used because, unfortunately for us, he is a bit of a homophobe, so I did not want to financially support him. And yet I have still heard such good things about this that I wanted to get it anyway. Even if he might be not that swell of a person, he can probably still have insightful things to teach. This is another book, The Whole Picture, Strategies for Screenwriting Success in New Hollywood. I don't know anything about this one. I just picked it up, probably like at a used book sale or something like that. So this one is a book on the independent cinema scene. This is Down and Dirty Pictures, Miramax, Sundance, independent films. Tarantino's going to be big in this, so we shall see. This is Film Forum. 35 top filmmakers discuss their craft, and it has Jean-Luc Godard in it. It has Milos Forman, Robert Altman, Andrei Tekin, who I don't know, Nestor Almendros, who's a cinematographer who directed one of the most beautiful shot one of the most beautiful films of all time, Days of Heaven, although I think there was another cinematographer, I don't know, one of them had to leave before the film was finished, and the other cinematographer was brought on George Romero, Claude Chabrol, Lena Wertmuller, and Emil de Antonio, who I also don't know, but apparently looks like he might be a damn it, what's the word? A producer. All right, film and literature, an introduction and reader. So, film theory. Magical Reels. This is a book about cinema in Latin America. This is just for some film history. Got into that stuff too. The New Wave. About the French New Wave. Still gotta get read. Almost all of these gotta get read. Gosh darn it, man. All right, so Spike, Mike, and Slackers and Dykes. Oh, interesting. Looks like another independent cinema book. For me, it's more of just like history. Like I just want to know about different histories. Mexican cinema, Mexican women. Another one. Cien Años sin Soledad. This is a Spanish book about Spanish cinema, and they go like a whole list of just Spanish, Latin American filmmakers at the time, names that I did not know, and most people will never know. The Director's Guide, a comprehensive textbook for directors and actors. So we shall see. The Filmmaker's Eye, and this one, this one goes specifically into like shots, analyzing shots. This is probably one of the best ones for a director to get, just to see like how people compose images and what they mean, and connecting the images together in terms of editing. So this one is probably one to put on the top of your list. Hong Kong Babylon, an insider's guide to the cinema of the East, or is it? Yeah, Hollywood of the East. So another cinema history book. Looks interesting. Another film theory book. This is probably one that you would get like a Cinema 101 or something like that kind of class. Probably for film students, but I got it for like $1 or something like that. Hollywood Voices. So this is interviews of just a group of Hollywood, directors or screenwriters perhaps. So some big names on here: Preston Sturges, Otto Preminger, John Huston, Nicholas Ray, and Orson Welles. So a couple of names here. I don't recognize Abraham Polanski, but I do George Cukor. I don't know who Ruben Mamoulian is, but this is more geared to like older directors. So this is Acting Professionally, Raw Facts About Careers in Acting. So this is a very short one. This is going to be more geared towards actors. Acting for Film. So this is probably one of the first acting books that I'm reading, because I do want to practice acting, even if I don't want to be an actor. I want to learn this stuff and try it. Just who knows? Maybe I'll be decent at it, and I'll be like John Sayles and act around while I'm mostly focusing on directing and screenwriting. Who knows? Another short actor's book, probably the first one I'll read. So look for my review in the coming months. Another actor's book. This is one by the famous acting teacher Stanislavski. Butchered that name. Alright, so this is a big history by David Thompson. So if you don't know, David Thompson is probably one of the premier writers in terms of about movies and about cinema history. So if you see his name, get his books. They're big, but they will fill your head with knowledge. Alright, so this is another Steven Spielberg book. This is a couple of good pictures in it. The color purple. Another Asian cinema book, but this one looks interesting. Asian pop cinema from Bombay to Tokyo. So it looks like it's not going to be just about East Asian cinema, which is what a lot of people think about when they think of Asian cinema. Last two. Rebel Without a Crew by Roberto Rodriguez, who this is one of the probably the first cinema book that I read, and you know, it does add. He does have at the end, you know, little like screenplay. I don't know if it's the whole screenplay, but like he does like break down like what screenplay he wrote, and he also chronicles his experience when he went through lab testing for medical thing in order to raise the funds. The majority of his, the $7,000 he raised to be able to make El Mariachi. So if you're an up and comer, if you're independent, you know, this is a book to read. It's due for a reread, to be honest. I don't think I found it. I can't remember. I'd have to reread it, to be honest, because I don't remember at the time finding it too helpful. When it came to like, it's not a guide to make movies, although he does sprinkle advice in there, and he does have a 10-minute cinema film school at the end, something like that. So I will reread it and let y'all know. This is the last book and the current one that I am reading, and that is John Truby's The Anatomy of the Story. So this is supposed to be one of the best books for screenwriters right now. And if you listen to certain other screenwriters, I know that Craig Mazin is adamantly against screenwriting books in general, or you know, looking for screenwriting teachers, things like that. It's really a debate, you know, whether or not you should learn screenwriting or writing from books and guides, or if you are just going to learn it by doing and by reading scripts. And I think there is a good argument to be made for that. I think most screenwriter books are probably not worth reading, especially because so many of them are written by people who never had big careers. You don't see big screenwriting names writing their own books. This guy John Truby, you know, he does have a few credits to his name, but for the most part he has been and was throughout his career mostly a script doctor for Hollywood, not someone that made it big. And so there is an argument to be made, you know, whether or not you should listen to people who didn't have hits. But you know, it is a cutthroat world, and sometimes because of luck, sometimes, you know, I think some people do say that, oh, if you're good, you're going to make it. And I to be honest, I don't know if that's true. I think sometimes you can be really good and then write stuff that for the most part maybe isn't that commercially great, or you know. All right, so my camera decided to mess up while I was filming, but what I was essentially saying is that sometimes some people are always the bridesmaids and never the bride. So there are people that were talented throughout history, and sometimes that they don't find success until after they die, or when it's really late in their life, or something like that. To be honest, for the most part, yes, if you're good, you're going to find some amount of success, but that's what I believe. So there is a last book that I didn't unfortunately get to. I forgot, it was hidden under thing, but that is How to Debt Proof Derek Jarman. So this is an autobiographical kind of book about some of his musings. I think he kind of like kept like some kind of diary while he was filming. So this is something that I will read or get to whenever I get volume 2 of BFI's Derek Jarman box set. And then I'm going to watch all of his movies. I'm going to read both of the booklets that come with both of the sets. And then I'm going to read the book and give my thoughts on Derek Jarman's work, what I can learn from him. And so essentially what I'm going to close with this video with is that I am intending for, you know, to chronicle the journey of filmmaking with reading from books and learning from them and gleaning as much information as I can about them, because I don't think it's just about making movies and then learning from them. You know, I think you want to learn from other sources, you know, even if sometimes you find things that you want to apply to later. So it's not just about, you know, watching film videos on YouTube and stuff like that. It's also about reading books. But I also don't want to just, I want to use the library system. And again, the one message that I want to put out there is that you don't just have to buy books and spend money to be a better filmmaker, that you can do it for free, that you can get books from your library, movies from your library, stuff like that. In legal ways, I'm not going to advocate that you, or that we download these things illegally. But again, that we don't have to spend a crap ton of money or just any money at all to do this thing that we love. You're gonna need to put up some money, especially eventually, but you can do it in a steady pace, which is what unfortunately I'm gonna have to do. I can't afford to get all the equipment that I need, bit by bit, lens by lens, prop by prop, stuff like that. So that's what this channel is going to be about, or one of the things it's going to be about. So I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks for joining me. I hope y'all have a great rest of your day. And comment down below if you have any suggestions for any books that I want to read. If you want to warn me, maybe I showed a book that you think is just not worth reading, is crap, or sends a terrible message or something like that, just let me know, or give me suggestions, or just say hi. So all right, thanks, film homies. See you next time.